Father, please, I beg you. Get out! You are no longer my daughter. She has disgraced our family.
Push.
You're doing great. Push.
The fluorescent lights flickered overhead as Adunni Chukwu gripped the hospital bed rails, her knuckles white with pain. Each contraction felt like fire coursing through her body, but nothing compared to the ache in her heart. Outside the delivery room, her family's angry voices echoed through the corridors. "She has brought shame upon our name," her father's voice boomed. "I will not claim this bastard child." 22-year-old Adunni had been living this nightmare for 9 months. Cast out from her wealthy family's mansion, forced to work 3 jobs just to afford prenatal care, all because she had fallen in love with the wrong man. But as another wave of pain crashed over her, she whispered a promise to her unborn child. "I will protect you, my love. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, I will never let them erase you from this world." Little did she know, her family had already made plans to do exactly that. The cry that filled the delivery room was strong and clear. Adunni's baby had arrived, healthy and perfect. But as the nurses whisked the newborn away for routine checks, something felt wrong. The medical staff exchanged glances, whispering in hushed tones. "Where is my baby?" Adunni called out weakly, her voice barely audible above the beeping machines. Dr. Williams, the family physician who had delivered babies for the Chukwu family for decades, approached her bedside with a grave expression. "Adunni, I'm sorry. There were complications." "What complications?" "I heard my baby cry." Sometimes these things happen. The baby didn't make it." Adunni's world shattered. But through her grief, a nagging voice in her head whispered that something wasn't right. She had heard her baby's strong, healthy cry. She had felt the life within her for months. How could everything just end? Meanwhile, in the hospital's administrative office, Adunni's father, Chief Emeka Chukwu, signed papers with a trembling hand. The adoption agency representative smiled coldly as she took the documents. "The baby will be placed with a good family," she assured him. "Far away from here. Your daughter will never know." Chief Emeka's wife, Patience, stood behind him, tears streaming down her face. "Emeka, we can't do this. She's our daughter, and that's our grandchild." "That child is not our blood," he snapped. Adunni chose her path when she lay with that man. She chose shame over honor. What the Chukwu family didn't know was that the man Adunni had fallen in love with was Oliver Blackwood, one of the most powerful CEOs in Lagos. Oliver had been traveling under an assumed name when he met Adunni at a local market, wanting to experience life away from his billionaire status. Their love affair had been brief but intense, and when Oliver discovered Adunni was pregnant, he had disappeared, leaving her to face the consequences alone. 5 years passed like a blur of pain and determination. Adunni had built a new life for herself, working as a successful marketing consultant, but the loss of her child haunted her every day. She had never accepted the official story of her baby's death, and she spent every spare moment investigating. Late one evening, while researching adoption records in a dimly lit internet cafe, Adunni stumbled upon a document that changed everything. A leaked file from the same adoption agency showed a baby born on the exact date and time as hers, placed with a family in Abuja. Her hands shook as she read the details. The baby's description matched perfectly. But what shocked her most was the father's name listed on the adoption papers, Oliver Blackwood. Oliver Blackwood, she whispered to herself. I need to find out who you really are. A quick internet search revealed the truth that would change everything. Oliver Blackwood wasn't just any man. He was the CEO of Blackwood Industries, one of the most powerful companies in West Africa. His net worth was estimated at over $2 billion. Adunni's heart raced. Her family had given away the child of one of the richest men in Africa. But more importantly, her baby was alive, and Oliver had a right to know. The Chukwu family compound sat majestically on Victoria Island, its white walls gleaming in the Lagos sunshine. Adunni hadn't set foot on the property in 5 years, but today she walked through the gates with purpose. Her younger sister, Kyoma, was the first to see her. Adunni, you're here. I need to speak with Papa, Adunni said, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. He's in his study, but Adunni, you know how he is. Maybe you should. No, Kyoma. I've waited 5 years for this conversation. Chief Emeka looked up from his newspaper as Adunni entered his study. Age had touched his features, but his eyes remained as cold as ever. So, the prodigal daughter returns, he said without emotion. I know what you did, Adunni said, closing the door behind her. I know you gave my baby away. Chief Emeka's newspaper rustled as he set it down. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Papa. I have documents. I have proof. My child didn't die in that hospital. You arranged for the adoption because you were ashamed of me. That bastard child would have ruined our family name. That child's father is Oliver Blackwood, Papa. Do you know who that is? Chief Emeka's face went pale. Everyone in Lagos knew the Blackwood name. You're lying, he whispered. I'm not. And now I'm going to find our child, and I'm going to tell Oliver Blackwood exactly what you did. The Blackwood Industries headquarters towered over Lagos like a glass giant. Adunni stood at the entrance, her heart pounding as she prepared to face the man who had left her 5 years ago. Getting to Oliver wasn't easy. Security guards, assistants, and receptionists all stood between her and the truth. But Adunni was determined. She waited in the lobby for hours until Oliver finally emerged from an elevator. He looked exactly as she remembered, tall, commanding, with kind eyes that had once made her believe in love. But now those eyes looked at her with confusion. Adunni, what are you doing here? We need to talk, Oliver. Privately. In his office, overlooking the city they had once walked through together, Adunni told him everything. About the pregnancy, about her family's rejection, about the supposed death of their child, and about the adoption papers she had discovered. Oliver's face went through a range of emotions: shock, anger, disbelief, and finally, determination. You're telling me we have a child? And your family gave our baby away. Our child is alive, Oliver. Living with strangers while we've been apart for 5 years. Oliver stood up, pacing to the window. I left because I thought you deserved better than a man who had lied about his identity. I was afraid you only loved me for who I pretended to be, not who I really was. I loved you for your heart, Oliver. Not your money. But right now, none of that matters. What matters is finding our child. Oliver's resources were vast, and within days, they had located the adoptive family. The Johnsons were a kind couple from Abuja who had no idea about the circumstances surrounding their adopted daughter's birth. Emma Johnson, now 5 years old, was a bright, curious child who looked exactly like Adunni but had Oliver's determined spirit. When they watched her from afar at her school playground, both parents felt a connection that transcended time and separation. She's beautiful, Oliver whispered, tears in his eyes. "She's ours," Adunni replied, her voice breaking. But approaching the Johnsons wasn't simple. Legal battles loomed ahead, and the adoptive parents deserved to know the truth. Oliver hired the best lawyers in the country, but more importantly, he and Adunni agreed that Emma's well-being came first. Meanwhile, news of the situation had reached the extended Blackwood family. Oliver's mother, Margaret Blackwood, was initially skeptical but became an ally once she met Adunni and learned the truth. That poor child, Margaret said, separated from her real parents because of pride and shame. "We must make this right." As the legal proceedings began, more secrets emerged from both families. The Chuckwers had been in financial trouble 5 years ago, and Chief Emeka had received a substantial payment from the adoption agency, money that had helped save the family business. Kyoma, Adunni's sister, finally found the courage to speak up. "Papa, I was there that night. I heard you on the phone. You didn't just give the baby away, you sold her." The revelation shattered what remained of the family's unity. Adunni's mother, Patience, who had lived with the guilt for 5 years, finally stood up to her husband. "Emeka, what have we done? We destroyed our daughter's happiness and robbed our grandchild of her family for money." But Chief Emeka, proud to the end, remained defiant. "I did what I had to do to protect this family's honor." Honor. Adunni's voice echoed through the family compound. "There's no honor in tearing a child away from her parents. There's no honor in lies and deception." The custody case made headlines across Nigeria. The story of the young woman who discovered her dead child was alive and had been secretly adopted captured the nation's attention. The Johnsons, though heartbroken, ultimately agreed to facilitate a gradual transition. They had loved Emma as their own, but they understood that she deserved to know her biological parents. "We just want what's best for Emma," Mrs. Johnson said through tears. "If that means sharing her with her real parents, then that's what we'll do." The legal proceedings revealed the extent of the adoption agency's corrupt practices. Documents showed that they had been involved in numerous illegal adoptions, often targeting vulnerable young mothers from wealthy families. Oliver used his influence to ensure that the agency was shut down and its operators prosecuted. But more importantly, he and Adunni worked with family counselors to determine the best way forward for Emma. The first meeting between Emma and her biological parents was arranged in a neutral location, a children's therapy center with trained professionals present. Emma, now aware that she was adopted, looked at Adunni and Oliver with curiosity rather than fear. "Are you my real mama and papa?" she asked in her clear, innocent voice. Adunni knelt down to Emma's level, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, sweetheart. We're your birth parents. We've been looking for you for a very long time." "Where were you?" Emma asked, her question cutting straight to the heart of the matter. "We were kept apart by people who made a mistake," Oliver explained gently. "But we're here now, and we want to be part of your life if you'll let us." The healing process was gradual. Emma would spend weekends with Oliver and Adunni, slowly building the relationship that had been stolen from them. The Johnsons remained part of Emma's life, creating an extended family built on love rather than secrets. As Emma grew more comfortable with her biological parents, the legal case against the adoption agency reached its conclusion. Several officials were sentenced to prison, and the agency was ordered to pay substantial damages to the affected families. But for Adunni, the real victory was watching Emma laugh as Oliver pushed her on a swing in their new home's backyard. The house they had bought together was filled with the sound of a child's laughter, a sound that had been missing for far too long. Chief Emeka, facing criminal charges for his role in the illegal adoption, finally broke down. The weight of his actions had destroyed his family, and he was left to face the consequences alone. "I was wrong," he admitted to Adunni during a tense family meeting. I let my pride destroy everything. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that I'm sorry." Adunni looked at her father, seeing him truly for the first time, not as the powerful patriarch she had feared, but as a broken man who had made terrible choices. "Papa, I can't forgive you yet. But maybe someday, when Emma is old enough to understand, she can decide if she wants to know her grandfather." 2 years later, Emma was a confident 7-year-old who understood her unique family situation. She had loving adoptive parents who remained part of her life, biological parents who had fought to find her, and even a grandmother Margaret who spoiled her with love and attention. The Blackwood and Chukwu families had been forever changed by the experience. Adunni and Oliver had rebuilt their relationship on a foundation of truth and shared purpose. They had married in a small ceremony with Emma as their flower girl, surrounded by the family they had chosen rather than the one they had been born into. Oliver had used his resources to establish a foundation dedicated to preventing illegal adoptions and supporting young mothers facing family rejection. Adunni had become a powerful advocate for women's rights, sharing her story to help others facing similar situations. "Mama," Emma said one evening as Adunni tucked her into bed, "I'm glad you found me." "I'm glad too, sweetheart. I never stopped looking for you. Will you tell me the story again? About how you and Papa met?" Adunni smiled, settling into the bedside chair. "Once upon a time, there was a young woman who fell in love with a man who pretended to be someone else. But even though he wasn't who he said he was, their love was real. And that love created the most beautiful little girl in the world. Me." Emma giggled. "Yes, you. And no matter what anyone tried to do, no matter how many years passed, love always finds a way." As the camera pulls back from the warm scene of mother and daughter, we see a family that has been reborn through persistence, love, and the courage to fight for what's right. Adunni's journey from a rejected young woman to a powerful advocate shows us that sometimes the greatest battles are fought not with weapons, but with unwavering determination and love. Her refusal to accept the lies told about her child's death led to the exposure of a corrupt system and the reunion of families torn apart by greed and shame. The story reminds us that family isn't always about blood. It's about the people who choose to love and support us, even when the world turns its back. Emma's extended family, including her adoptive parents, biological parents, and chosen relatives, represents a new kind of family built on truth and understanding. Chief Emeka's fall from grace serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of placing pride and social status above the well-being of our loved ones. His actions, driven by shame and financial desperation, nearly destroyed the lives of everyone he claimed to protect. But perhaps most importantly, this story shows us that truth has a way of emerging, no matter how deeply it's buried. Adunni's 5-year search for her child proves that love and determination can overcome even the most powerful attempts to rewrite history. Today, the Blackwood Chukwu family continues to thrive. Emma excels in school, Oliver's foundation has helped hundreds of families, and Adunni's advocacy work has led to stronger laws protecting birth parents' rights. The scar left by those 5 years of separation will never fully heal, but it serves as a reminder of how precious family bonds truly are. And sometimes, the families we fight to create are stronger than the ones we're born into. What did you think of Adunni's incredible journey? Her story shows us that no matter how impossible the odds seem, love and determination can overcome any obstacle. The fight for truth and justice isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like. Subscribe to my channel for more inspiring stories. Also, do not forget to inform us where you are watching from. Have you ever had to fight for something you believed in against all odds? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone else who's facing their own seemingly impossible battle. Remember, every family has secrets, but it's how we handle the truth that defines who we really are. Until next time, keep fighting for what matters most.